Hi, my name is Deb Halfrich, hashtag Redhead is She-Hulk, and this is a story about Supra-Thinkable. That's right, we're going to talk about thinking beyond the faulty, flawed, and fraudulent paradigms of the Western thought tradition. I'm a 53-year-old, non-binary, although highly female-presenting, human with an extraordinary brain of my own creation. That's right. Imagine a Tommy who, instead of a rough criminal childhood, was autistic. And nobody knew because my childhood was in the decade before anyone got around to diagnosing, putting words into a DSM. Also, only until recently, no one would have imagined females could be highly sensitive. That's cray-cray right there. Oh, the tangled webs of the Western thought tradition. Helen, I am asking you to be my Watson. Perhaps for just an article, perhaps for a book, perhaps for quite some time. We're brainstorming here, but quite seriously, I need a journalist. I need a writer. Stat, my life is in jeopardy. There's so much going on here. But right up to the punch, I, by myself, without any assistance, rewired my brain around a toxic mold exposure. When I turned 50, I was 333 pounds. Lost, I like to say, evaporated. 150 pounds in the 15 months after turning 50 using my thinking equipment. Nothing in my thinking equipment. There was fasting involved. But again, just me, myself, and I. You're 333 pounds and you're 50. You're not a very popular person. I'm trying to put this into performance mode, but I haven't been able to sleep all night. So this is the second one I started this morning. I have this great tale to tell, but this is an important thing. My subconscious is always right. You're going to learn this. They're going to learn that if we stop and ask my subconscious, I can't be as performance-y as I would like to be, because I didn't get any sleep. And this is one of the think beyonds. The map of the terrain of the brain doesn't tell you anything about its inhabitants. And there is no separation, sorry Descartes, between mind and body. So being a little bit unsleepy, I am just... There goes the autism. There goes the movement necessary to put me back into my ability to shift on demand into trance, into a artistic flow of performance. These are what I like to term one-woman-Improv Socratic Monologues. I am a degreed philosopher from Carnegie Mellon who spent 2 decades as a payroll software implementation consultant in banks, biotech, and Silicon Valley. And I changed my own brain after 50 because it was the only way to stay alive. 2014 in the Seattle area, I moved into a moldy apartment. There was mold behind the walls. I had no idea what was going on for quite some time, but my life was altered. Now, the thing is that I might have had a stroke. But if I did, I survived it by myself. So it's even kind of a better story. But I don't think so. I think, quite frankly, it was the mold. I think my highly sensitive life, it just was too much. It was the tipping point. And I lost well over 80% of my ability to walk and talk. I was alone in the world, morbidly obese and autism, broke somehow, some way, with this incredibly astute brain, despite the fact that I have not been able to work. I've not been able to pitch anyone for work. I've not been able to get anyone to consider philosophy as something worth paying for, because that's how plantation capitalism works. We are a very transactional society that is now functioning in about 3-second attention spans. And I am the sort of intellect that needs about a 90-minute Netflix streaming special. So there's about 1 million ways, and I mean that. I could create the matrix for you, for us to narrow down. You see how difficult it was for me to say that word. Narrow down my story into a way that fits into the social media ethos. Holy mackerel. This is all data that I mean, and it was like a it was like just like a cut across my throat there when I had to say the social media ethos. Such a Ponzi scheme. And this is where we'll switch just for a moment, but I've been living in my car with my dog for very nearly a year. That's how neglected I am. That's what happens to a human with an extraordinary brain in a pandemic. So March is my birthday. I'd lost those 150 pounds, just ready to go out to maybe to save, and then the pandemic locked everyone in. I'd been living in pandemic conditions for about a decade. Sensory overwhelm, the autistic angle, a serious amount of burnout from a job that, happened like 24/7. I was based, as I am now, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And my main job was working on Singapore time. And then the company got bought out by Roche in Switzerland. So I worked San Francisco time, Singapore time, and European time. 3 shifts. In no uncertain terms, my biggest challenge, and why I'm not fit for really any job right now, I don't have any standard sense of time. The mold took that away. I go on and on and on and on, and again, give me 90 minutes in a Netflix special. I've built a really stellar career for myself. And all I do is rush up against, well, you'd already be famous if you were good. You'd already be rich if you had actually created a theory of everything that changes how we think about being human. I'm the she-Sherlock of human functioning. This bit, you go on and on and on. You covered all of the brain so well. Imagine a Tommy who just wants to talk about human functioning. That's my art. That's my creativity. And I am well educated. in an outlier sense. I don't really believe I've ever stored in a piece of data that's illogical. And given this world that we live in, let me tell you something, just about everything that's occurring is illogical, because humans are not separate mind-body systems. And it's not even just reuniting the Cartesian split. We got to bring the soul back in. Furthermore, it is the case that our ancestors were correct. And this is something we're coming to terms with across this entire civilization. The heinous legacy of colonization, of whiteness, I like to call the concept of whiteness. I am an integrative thinker, and that takes more than those people who are tuned to forever scrolling for the next random hit of dopamine. But we were to do tests, nobody has any idea what they're spending the bulk of their time on. And they're spending their time doing the social media work, ignoring a human just trying to stay alive. Okay, I got a lot more to say. This has been a little bit longer and a lot less structured than typical. But you get what you get, because when you live in your car for nearly 12 months, you don't get any sleep. And it is amazing what I'm doing with my brain, given long-term sleep deprivation. Help me, let's write an article to help me find some funds to start getting my brain imaged. And I will share the secrets of using evolutionary logic and the math of life. 1 + 1 = 3. So simple that I call it life-centric thinking. The Western thought tradition is based on Western medicine measurement men of mechanistic whiteness. Whoa, man, woman, whoa, man, woman, woman. There's a difference in wise feminine thinking, and it's life-centric. And life-centric thinking is a movement for every single one of the 7.9 billion humans across every nook and cranny of Earth. So I want to get my extraordinary brain out in public, trying to get some funds, then create a research institute and an entire education empire to talk about life-centric thinking. You see, everything has gone wrong in our civilization, and we need everyone thinking in harmony. And the way to do that is to get us to go, first, do no harm to any molecule of life. Now, there's going to be some challenging questions. It's not how we were taught to think, and it's going to be difficult. But we started training minds across the globe that all we got to do is prioritize life force. And beyond that broad scope of life-centric thinking, I am, in all sincerity, able to sort the hard problem of consciousness into an easy pivot, which produces a theory of everything. I mean, I can solve why the universe is expanding. I can give us the framework we need to think beyond the Big Bang. I mean, there's always the what came before. I am, in some respects, the proverbial large redheaded girl who's grown up to give Sigmund Freud vagina envy and has a hypothesis that may lead to curing cancer. All right. Harmony.